Demanding the standard has been a big topic for us. So, what's Kirby Smart talking about right there? I'm going to tell you about that and more as we walk through this video. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. We look forward to seeing you over on the website, as you know. This is something that Kirby said at the beginning of March. He said the connection and dialogue is what my why, what is our why, and then demanding the standard has been a big topic for us. So that was a question that I asked him about all of the off-season stuff that they're doing, and if he's talking in language you don't necessarily understand there, the last part is the most important part. Demanding the standard has been a big topic for us. And if you think about Georgia's 5 years under Kirby, you think about some near misses, and that big win over Oklahoma. And what happens is every single day you have to live up to the standard, or you're going to lose by a very small margin or win by a very small margin. I mean, it's that simple. And that's what it makes me think about. Developing mental toughness in the offseason is one of the most important things you can do. And that 2017 team for Georgia had tremendous mental toughness. What do I mean by that? When you start thinking about the beating they took at Auburn, and then they basically put it behind them by Monday. I mean, you could see that in the way that they reacted after the game on Monday. They're just getting absolutely torched, 40-17 by Auburn. I think it was 40-17, something like that. And then a week later, playing they play Missouri or Kentucky, I think it might have been. But there was no real discussion of the Auburn game. The reality is that if you don't develop in the offseason in terms of not just physical stuff, because right now, in a week, they'll be dealing with physical stuff, no question. But right now, you're dealing with the how can you develop mental toughness? How can you have something that you really want to happen, not happen, and then you take it from there and act like it did, or it didn't, or it doesn't matter to you. That's what Georgia's talking about right now when they say demanding the standard has been a big topic for us. So is he talking about, I mean, I know he's talking about the offensive line. He's talking about JT Daniels. He's talking about everybody. And figuring out who is going to be where, how they're going to slot this offensive line, the defensive back, which is really the biggest area. Not defensive backs, but the corners specifically. What is Georgia going to do there to develop what they need? Because that's a particular spot where you need mental toughness. But when you start talking about the standard at Georgia, there were times that that's not been met. Okay, the loss to South Carolina at home in 2019, the loss that ended that season, the loss that ended the 18 season to Texas. The team just was not there mentally in either of those games. I remember having a conversation after the fact with Chuck Dowdle, who does the on-field radio, and he remembered what Kirby said, which is that they weren't ready to play that day. Well, that's up to the coaching staff and that's up to the kids. And in many ways, you have to do that stuff in the offseason to get ready for moments like that, for noon games where you don't play well. And inevitably in sports, you do not play well. And you're going to need to get past not playing well and figuring out how to win. Because you just are not going to play well all the time. Sometimes you can not play well and be so much better than the other team that it doesn't matter. But you really want to be able to win when you don't play well. Against Texas, they just weren't there mentally. Against South Carolina, they weren't ready to play at the beginning of that game. It took them like a half to get going. Could you say that about the Cincinnati game? Maybe. I think the Cincinnati game was Cincinnati's a pretty good team, frankly. I said that before the game. I said that after. I thought Cincinnati was a good team. But if this Georgia team, look, heading into the 2017 season, Kirby knew that was a team that he really needed to do well with. That was an older team. The leaders were seniors that were playing in their last year. Well, you look at Georgia this time. Zamir, JT Daniels, Jamari, James Cook. You've got guys returning like Devontae Wyatt, Schaefer. Robertson coming back. You got older. This is an older group. Generally speaking, there are more than 15 scholarship players that are seniors. And they're legit players. They're not sort of walk-ons. Brainy, Smith, Tyndall, Walker, Anderson, Wyatt, Davis, Jordan Davis, Schaefer, Jamari, Cook, Bennett. I mean, you can throw Daniels and Zamir in there as well. This is an older team. They're going to have to hit the standard, whatever that is, for the day. And that will get them ready for the fall. I mean, you've got a giant matchup to begin with. And if you're supposed to do something the way you're supposed to do it, you got to do it that way. And if you're not, the coach has got to correct them. And Kirby said, he said in reaction to my question, he said, we're seeing, that guys are coming in more on their own. They're coming in to throw more, work out extra. They want to be elite. And that's good because they are elite. The thing is now to close the door and be elite on the biggest stage possible, which is the national championship game. And we've talked about that a lot. We're going to continue to talk about it. I mean, if they win the national championship this season, we're going to talk about it the next season. That's what this is. And, that's all there is to it. This program has eluded a national championship in as many ways possible. I'm not going to stop talking about my job is to talk about Georgia. You can't talk about Georgia without the fact that they hadn't won the national championship in 4 decades and not winning it in sort of spectacular fashion a couple of times. So if they do what they're supposed to do, if they demand the standard, whatever that is, and they complete the standard, that's how this team will have success. And that's what Kirby's talking about. Let's talk about all this more over on Dog Post, dawgpost.com. We'll see you over on the website.